Thank you, Clive. On Spotlight tonight, homelessness is getting worse. An appeal to government from the charities overwhelmed.
A call for compassion, but not just at Christmas, as the number of people sleeping rough in North Devon is on the rise.
And more working people are finding themselves falling on hard times. Also on the programme this evening. This robot is hoping to revolutionise hip surgery. It's happening in Devon and it's a world first.
I've been visiting Cornwall tourism award winners like this pub in St Breward, finding out about the challenges for the tourism industry and positive plans for the future.
I'm here in Launceston at this Christmas tree festival where there are 93 trees on display and all for a good cause.
And I found this magical place here in the heart of East Devon, full of festive surprises. Take it away, guys.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Christmas without a permanent home and sleeping rough on the streets. An increasing number of people are facing bleak times like this and charities are concerned. Figures from the charity's shelter show nearly 14,000 people, including nearly 6,000 children, will spend this Christmas without a home. That's a rise of 9% in just 1 year. Meanwhile, the Salvation Army says there's been a massive spike in living on the streets in North Devon. The local branch there says the problem is just getting worse, with high rents and a lack of housing forcing more working people to sleep in cars or on the streets. It's calling on the government for more help with accommodation and a more tailored response to people in crisis. Spotlight's Andrea Ormsby has the story.
Every Sunday, volunteers at the Salvation Army serve up a full English breakfast to rough sleepers in North Devon. It's just one of the charity's many acts of service to help the homeless community.
So this is one of our Amazing Grace Spaces emergency shelters, and let me just show you around. It's quite tight for space. You can come in and have a look at what we've got. Obviously, while guests are in here, they've got good, comfortable beds. They're incredibly well insulated, so if you're in here for a couple of hours, even this time of year, it will warm up to a comfortable temperature. There's a charging point for phones, and there is just a chemical toilet behind me, so they've got some dignity and some safety while they're staying in here.
The Salvation Army says homelessness is getting worse.
We've seen a huge increase in the numbers of rough sleepers in our area in North Devon. These are not the standard rough sleepers that we've experienced before. Sometimes these are working people that it's just been one missed paycheck, one broken relationship, and suddenly they've slipped through the net into a world of rough sleeping, into an area where there is no accommodation available for them, and they're having to resort to sleeping in their cars or sofa surfing or just sleeping out on the streets in North Devon.
The charity says there needs to be a more tailored response to people in crisis, which it says means more investment in properties.
Otherwise, we see this circular pattern of, potentially pod, temporary accommodation, private rent, and then falling back through into the cycle again. And it's going to take a more significant bit of work, more than an intervention. Some investment in infrastructure will be the thing that breaks that pattern, that cycle repeating.
Captain Mark Reed says the state is relying way too much on voluntary organisations.
Really, they are providing what should be a statutory service.
As the festive season approaches, the Salvation Army is calling on people to be compassionate to North Devon's growing homeless community, and not just at Christmas. Andrea Ormsby, BBC Spotlight, Barnstaple.
A roundup of other news across the region tonight, and 2 men have been jailed for a combined total of 10.5 years after a disabled man was thrown off a bridge into a river. The judge at Truro Crown Court said 44-year-old Wesley Tucker and 32-year-old Daniel Stamp had been drinking when they got involved in a minor verbal exchange with the victim outside a Truro night spot in July 2022. The victim was saved by a heroic security guard who held the injured man's head above water as his attackers laughed. The rugby community has rallied around the loved ones of Cornish rugby player Tom Voice, who went missing in an area flooded by Storm Dara. It's believed the former England international attempted to cross a ford in his car and was swept away by the current of the river. Matt Dawson, who played alongside the 43-year-old at Wasps, said he could not express his sadness. It was a third consecutive defeat for Plymouth Argyle last night, who were beaten 2-1 by Swansea City. The result piles more pressure on manager Wayne Rooney, who's seen his side win just one of their last 10 matches. Argyle sit second from bottom in the Championship, just 1 point from safety. It's the first of its kind in the world and aims to revolutionise hip surgery. A clinical trial in Exeter, which is using a robot, is hoping to improve the experience of people undergoing a total hip replacement to treat severe arthritis. Led by the Royal Devon University Healthcare NHS Foundation, 200 patients have already been involved in the Hipster study. Our health correspondent Anna Val went to watch the procedure, so just a warning, her report does contain some images of surgery.
This is taking precision and accuracy to a new level.
This is the robotic arm that's going to allow us to control and really accurately monitor exactly where we're putting in and clearing away out for our new socket.
Robots are widely used in hip operations, guiding the surgeon where to cut and exactly how much arthritic bone to remove.
We know that eyesight has error. And that fits with every time we put up a shelf at home, we use a spirit level. Actually, the spirit level is better than our eyesight. And the robot is replicating that inside the operation to allow us to ensure that we're correct to the nearest degree or millimetre of implanting our implants.
It's absolutely incredible to see this in action, how accurate the robot makes this procedure in taking just that arthritic bone out. The research team in this trial are using the robot to see if cutting fewer tendons in surgery can help patients recover quicker and experience less pain.
Most surgeons around the country cut 3 tendons around the hip to perform a hip replacement. We're looking at ways of cutting maybe 1 or only 2 tendons around the hip to see whether that makes a difference to patient outcomes and helps patient long-term improve their outcomes after hip replacement surgery.
The 2-year trial is now more than halfway through. 200 patients have had surgery so far. The aim is to operate on another 100 before August next year. After their op, patients are then monitored for 12 months.
We have a lot of patients across the UK who have total hip replacements. That's a lot of people that if we can improve patient satisfaction, get the recovery quicker, then it's going to benefit a lot of people if one of these techniques is shown to be better than the other.
But I think what they want to look at is, even if they cut 3 tendons, is the actual result at the end of it better than 1 tendon being cut?
Al Knight had surgery 10 months ago. As it's a blind trial, he doesn't know how many of his tendons were cut, but he's back at work and recovering well.
I think it's important that myself and other people go, well, I'll do this, just put myself out a little bit. It's hardly much at all, but it could inform future changes and benefits to the surgery, which will help other people that come along like me that need the surgery.
The trial is a world first. If the data proves cutting fewer tendons helps a patient's recovery, the aim would be to use this technique during surgery in hospitals in the UK and elsewhere in the future. Anna Val, BBC Spotlight, the Nightingale Hospital in Exeter.
And from hips to spines, because a woman from Sherborne in Dorset who damaged hers at last year's Glastonbury Festival has been sharing her amazing recovery with us. Roxy Wilson was cared for at the Spinal Treatment Centre at Salisbury Hospital, which is marking its 40th anniversary. Sarah Farmer has Roxy's story.
Coming out of the Elton John set, there was a bit of a surge of the crowd and I got knocked over.
For Roxy Wilson, celebrations at Glastonbury took a turn for the worse.
So I'd had a disc which was crushing my spinal cord, and it was a case of one wrong move and it would have severed my cord. I ended up paralysed.
On the ward at Salisbury Spinal Unit, teams treat and train patients who've damaged their spines.
In a traumatic spinal injury, if the spine is fixed, that is the bony bit fixed, it'll all work together. but they forget there is a nervous bit, which is once it's damaged, it's beyond repair.
Roxy's been making progress, but building confidence beyond the four walls of the unit has its challenges. Without a working ramp on the bus, the anti-tip device on the wheelchair hinders Roxy's freedom to get out and about. Despite frustrations, there are also moments of optimism.
So today I wanted to look at standing and then doing some functional stuff.
The team does regular assessments to see how patients would cope back at home. For Roxy, her achievements are uplifting.
From 6 weeks ago, we had just flickers of movement, especially in that left leg, and most of our focus was on Roxy's independence as a wheelchair user.
All of a sudden I feel like I'm 10 foot, not 5'8". It is a bit bizarre.
So we are enabling them to get back to as close as possible to a way of living that they will be able to continue with for the rest of their lives.
I'm scared. I'm going to miss this lot. 1, 2, 3.
Nose over toes.
I'm going to walk out of the unit. No doubt, I will walk out.
Homeward bound for her next chapter. Sarah Farmer, BBC Spotlight.
Thank you, Roxy, for sharing your story. Now, we know it's been a tough year for tourism in the southwest, with a decline in numbers after the post-COVID boom and several attractions closing their doors. Industry leaders have been pointing to the cost of living pressures and poor weather, but it didn't stop a celebration of a wide range of businesses at last month's Cornwall Tourism Awards. Tamsin Melville has been to meet some of this year's winners to get their views on the year that's been and the year ahead.
Boasting a sea view, a wildlife-rich environment and cabins with all mod cons. The owners of this site near Loo describe it as high-end glamping.
So this is Jumper's cabin, typical layout, sea views obviously.
But even these winner of winners at this year's Cornwall Tourism Awards found 2024 a challenge.
We've worked so hard this year, it's been a lot harder to fill the nights. Normally by June we're fully booked for the summer holidays. This year, last half of August, we were having to take 1-2 night stays. We hardly got a day off. And we're always thinking, what more can we do? What do we need to do next to adapt to the sort of changing environment of tourism? And just don't give up, you know, keep going.
Emma and Richard think it was the summer's poor weather, uncertainty around the general election and cheap foreign holidays that made things harder.
And I think that there'll be a lot more people returning to UK shores, having got that abroad holiday out of the systems.
While they continue to do all they can for guests, Richard's hopeful things in Cornwall will rebalance after the post-COVID peaks and troughs.
There's been perhaps a bit of over-tourism post-COVID, and that's ruffled a few feathers, but I don't think that will continue in future. I think there's plenty of tourism to go round, and I think people will start to return to Cornwall shortly.
Out of season is difficult for everyone, and here, as well as reviewing pricing structures, the couple are opening their own bar for locals. And it's locals keeping the fires burning today at this, Cornwall's highest inn, perched on Bodmin Moor. Another award winner, landlord Darren, has been here 25 years and weathered 2 recessions, a smoking ban and COVID.
It is a struggle to get people in the door sometimes. You have to drive your business, you have to promote, you have to advertise. With the cost of living going up, you know, our costs are also going up.
He credits his army of 35 staff with his success, along with quality.
It's no good cutting corners in businesses no more. You have to, you know, supply the best, your customer service, your products you have, not only on the bar, but in your kitchens, and having a good staff behind you. And, you know, that's probably why we won the award.
That's the message too from this family attraction that scooped bronze this year at the awards. £500,000 was spent on a new train earlier this year, and there's more investment over these winter months.
I think it's all about investing into your business, having great people around you and listening to what your customers want and moving ahead. And it's not really value for money, it's more about value for quality.
For now, these businesses will be making the most of the festive season, with fingers crossed for a prosperous 2025. Tamsin Melville, BBC Spotlight.
More award winners now, and 2 inspirational women achieving great things locally and nationally. The West Country Women Awards recognises outstanding contributions and positive impact on communities. Alexis Wright from the Olive Project and Dawn Dines from Stamp Out Spiking came in for a chat earlier today. Dawn, first of all, you were the joint winner of the Combating Violence Against Women and Girls, but it's so much bigger than that, isn't it?
It really is, Victoria. I mean, the amount of testimonials we receive from men and boys regarding all spiking-related crimes. So, yes, this message really has to be shared out across that it can happen to anyone at any time in any place.
You've been working on this project for a long, long time, haven't you? This is a local award, but it's gone national with the campaign.
It really has, yeah, we're delighted. We've got a national campaign going out all over the country, and it's like got a wine glass, a pint glass and a cocktail glass. And as you walk towards it, all these spikes come out and shards come out like the handle. And it just says, if only it was this easy to see a spiked drink. And it's just a reminder, really, that you know, we've got to be vigilant, we've got to all be looking out for each other, and we need that accredited training to go out across the country now.
Your message is clear to individuals, but also to the government. You've been campaigning for a long time for a change in the law, and that's now happening at last.
It is. I'm so excited. It's taken 20 years of campaigning and knocking on the doors. We've got 5 cross-political parties who all agreed, and now, obviously, Keir Starmer has made an announcement last week that he is going to make spiking a specific offence. So we're going to be able to know the true data of these crimes.
Amazing stuff. And Alexis, from the Olive Project, you won the Diversity and Equality Award. And you say, as a charity, you are from the communities that you serve, which is incredibly important.
Absolutely. So we refer to ourselves as a by and for organisation, meaning that we are from the communities that we wish to support. And the national evidence is that when a person can go to their own community for support, particularly if they're a victim of domestic abuse or sexual violence, their outcomes are just better in terms of safety, in terms of recovery, in terms of staying out of abusive relationships. That black and minoritized, particularly black minoritized women, are more at risk in terms of domestic abuse and sexual violence, in terms of how long they stay in abusive relationships. They are more likely to suffer serious injury and sadly more likely to be affected by domestic homicide. So for us, getting the support right from the start is just so important in the sense it can be life-saving.
And you're not just helping individuals, you offer training to bigger organisations and businesses and companies to allow them to understand the situation better.
Absolutely, and for us that's such an important part of our work, is to create change through collaboration and through partnership working. So whilst we want to provide the kind of one-to-one support, what we don't want to happen is for one of the beneficiaries we work with to go into whether it's social care or education or to A&E and receive either discriminatory responses or in fact dangerous responses. And so we want to sort of support organisations to address that safely, because we know that there can be a real fear when talking about racism, so we want to make it safe and accessible for all the organisations to have that conversation.
Wonderful that these awards are highlighting both of your charities and organisations. And a final message from you, Dawn, at this time of the year at Christmas, lots of people out drinking. Your message is absolutely vital at the moment, isn't it?
It really is. And so for all your listeners out there today, if you're going out on a Christmas party, please be very mindful that alcohol is actually the most common form of spiking, and it's normally done by people who love you and think that they're being kind. So not all spiking is done with malicious intent. So that education piece is really needed.
Thank you so much for coming in. Have a lovely festive season. And I know that we'll talk about your organisations again. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thanks.
Now, it's easy to forget that all the festive frivolities, hype and excitement isn't everyone's idea of a perfect Christmas. And with that in mind, one festive attraction in East Devon had a special private event for children with additional needs who wouldn't be able to experience it otherwise. And it's raising money for charity too. Our reporter Melanie Chiswell went along.
While most of us might wish it could be Christmas every day, some children with additional needs can find all the excitement overwhelming. So today they get this magical wonderland at Otter Garden Centre in East Devon all to themselves.
But they're both the same.
Yeah, it's really good to have these special times because we don't get this chance normally to have this time for the children like this, where it's quiet and they can enjoy it.
And they'd miss out if you didn't have opportunities like this.
They would, yeah, very much so.
It's just really nice to have the opportunity to actually access these things rather than kind of have to leave because it's not working. And so it's great to just come round and just one or two other families and explore Christmas. Yeah.
And what's it like to see the look on Tate's face when he's enjoying everything around him?
Yeah,
This
that's
is
really
the
good.
This is the look.
Is this your look?
This is the normal
Yeah,
look.
we don't always see masses of look on his face, but no, it's great for him to experience it.
Here in the kitchen, health and safety may have gone out of the window and some of the staff have gone stir crazy, but it's all raising money for hospice care.
I think it's just creating that magic. I think as we all get older, as society keeps going, it's really difficult to keep the magic going. I think what's amazing with Otter Garden Centre is that they're putting on special sessions for SEN children as well, so that really everybody can be involved in the experience.
Whilst the children behaved like angels, the elves didn't. Next week, this winter wonderland will be open to everyone.
Is the carol that you sing.
Singing is optional. Melanie Chiswell, BBC Spotlight, Ottery St Mary.
Well, Christmas is a time that communities often come together to celebrate, and in Launceston they've done so in spectacular fashion. This year's Christmas Tree Festival at St Mary Magdalene Church has more than 90 festive trees on display, all designed by different groups, schools and businesses. Spotlight's John Danks has been to take a look.
From a distance, they look much like any other Christmas tree. But look closer and you'll spot some clever design in the decoration.
Here's one of the more unusual trees in the display. It's from a local flooring and bathroom centre. It's got toilets and baths and little pom-poms and a towel bale and some slippers, and it's even got miniature toilet rolls on it.
From trees made from melted vinyl records to ones made entirely from fabric. These unique creations were made by local businesses, community groups and schools.
We've actually heard people go, wow, because it's just such a beautiful glittering display of lights. And then people walk around and they just appreciate the creativity of people and the hard work that's gone into each of the trees, really.
They're all amazing in their own way. They're all unique. And the other thing I've noticed, well, it's not just Christmas trees. It's a whole diversity of different kinds of trees, and every one of them sort of gives out a certain message, and it gives out a certain feeling. It truly is an amazing experience coming here every year.
Yeah, this is the tree which has been put in by the local Launceston Voluntary First Aid Society, and they always come in with something a bit alternative. And this one is particularly beloved by the children because of all the cuddly mice on there. So you've got a mouse with Christmas cheese on the top with all the different things. Cornish cheese as well. Quiet mouse. I'm not quite sure what that one is. Shopping mouse, I think.
While some of the trees raise a smile, others are more reflective.
Christmas is a rather difficult time for some people. You may have noticed that some of the trees, people have put labels on there. There's a prayer tree at the back there, but there are others where people who've lost loved ones want them to be remembered in a special way.
The proceeds from this Christmas Tree Festival go towards funding a warm space in the church for those who need it, and to the local food bank.
The organisers of this event say they've already raised more than £3,000, and the event runs until Friday afternoon. John Danks, BBC Spotlight in Launceston.
Looks really lovely, doesn't it? And I love shopping mouse. Let's have a look at the weather forecast now, and David joins me here in the studio. Is it still Quite quiet?
It is
calm?
quiet, thank you, Victoria. Well, perhaps not as calm as we would like, but it's certainly quiet at the moment. Thank you very much. Good evening. And we've had a tiny bit of blue sky here and there, but the main story today has been the cloud, but also how cold it's felt today. The low temperatures have been with us all week this week, and that low temperature continues for the rest this week, for Thursday and Friday. But things do change as we go into the weekend. We will eventually see a higher temperature. But for tomorrow, it's another cold day, another rather cloudy day. More breaks in the cloud than we've seen today. And perhaps in the morning, a few showers. They will arrive overnight tonight and be around first thing tomorrow morning along the south coast. Other than that, there is very little change in the weather pattern for the next 2 days. We've still got high pressure. That's still in charge, right slap bang over the UK, hardly moving at all for the next 24 hours. But as we move into Friday, more especially Saturday, it starts to move. It edges away towards the middle of Europe, and it allows this cold front to drift in from the northwest. That will introduce a few showers on Saturday. And whilst we've labelled it as a cold front, actually what it'll do is it'll clear out that cold air, and eventually we get westerly winds around the top of the high that's re-establishing itself across the western side of the Bay of Biscay. What that will do is draw in a higher temperature. So we are lifting the temperatures as we go into Sunday, Monday and Tuesday of next week, back up into double figures. So for those that haven't liked these really low temperatures, it is going to get milder. Here are the showers just along the south coast. They'll keep coming, I think, for a time overnight tonight. Still around first thing in the morning. A few breaks in the cloud here and there. So temperatures in the range of 3 to 5 degrees overnight tonight. We should be frost-free. Tomorrow's forecast has those showers probably lingering for a time across the Isles of Scilly. Here we keep a lot of cloud. For elsewhere, though, there's just a hint of a little bit more of a break in the cloud developing, particularly towards the end of the day. So perhaps in a few places, some late sunshine. Still cold, mind you. Best temperature tomorrow, around 7 or 8 degrees. Winds aren't as strong as they have been, but if you're along the south coast, we've still got that keen easterly wind. For the Isles of Scilly, we keep a lot of cloud here for most of the day. In fact, there'll be a bit of patchy drizzle coming out of that cloud. These are our times of high water. Plymouth, that's at 2:29 and 14:54, and Bideford 2:37 and 15:04. Winds are from the east tomorrow. There'll be no more than a force 3 or 4 for most coastal areas, just occasionally force 5 to 6 through the English Channel, and the chance of a few showers here as well, but mostly dry and generally good visibility out at sea. This is the trend in terms of temperatures. They're on the way up as we go into the weekend. 9 or so on Saturday, but up to 10 or 11 degrees Sunday, Monday. Lots of dry weather around. It could be, though, first thing on Saturday morning, we have a few showers and a possible frost on Saturday night. Have a nice evening. Victoria.
Thank you, David. And thank you for joining us. If you have a story to let us know about, do email us at spotlight@bbc.co.uk. We always love to hear from you. That's it from us this evening. I hope you can join us again tomorrow. From all of us here, good night.